The Chicago Cubs front office has made another move in the market as the franchise heads toward the final stretch of the regular season, a stage where every decision made behind the scenes carries more weight than almost anything that happens on the field. On Tuesday, the organization officially signed veteran catcher Austin Wynns to a minor league contract, and he will immediately report to Iowa, the team's AAA affiliate. In this report, we're breaking down the full meaning of the move, what it reveals about the front office behind the scenes, and why a seemingly minor signing could say far more about the Cubs' strategy than it appears at first glance. According to journalist Jason Kempf, the Cubs signed Wynns as a depth option behind the starting catching duo of Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya. At 35 years old, the catcher brings 8 years of Major League Baseball experience and has already worn 3 different uniforms this season alone: the Athletics, Atlanta Braves, and Texas Rangers. That journey shows just how active the backup catcher market has become down the stretch. His offensive numbers are not impressive: a .146 batting average, a .195 on-base percentage, and a .183 slugging percentage, resulting in a .378 OPS, with just 1 home run in 34 games this season. What makes the signing worthwhile isn't his bat, but the defensive experience he has accumulated behind home plate over nearly a decade in the big leagues. That combination of an extensive resume and recent experience with 3 different organizations reinforces the idea that Wynns is a proven, readily available option, exactly the type of player experienced front offices look for when they want to avoid unnecessary risks late in the season. As a fan, you need to understand that this type of move isn't designed to strengthen the Major League roster tomorrow. It exists to protect the organization against the worst-case scenario: an injury to Kelly or Amaya right in the middle of the stretch run, at a time when the franchise is directly competing for the division lead. If you're dreaming of a catcher who is going to unlock the Cubs' offense, forget it. Wynns is insurance, not a solution. But if you understand baseball, you know that roster depth in September is what separates teams that survive injuries from teams that collapse when things suddenly go against them. It's those invisible details, the ones that never become headlines, that can decide division titles during the final weeks of the season. From a market rules standpoint, minor league contracts like Wynns do not impact the major league payroll or the competitive balance tax threshold. This is a very low-cost, low financial risk move, typical of organizations that have already finalized their season-long budget and are now simply adjusting their roster depth. This type of signing also preserves flexibility on the 40-man roster, since Wynns remains outside the major league roster until a promotion is officially necessary, a technical detail that many casual analysts overlook, but one the Cubs front office clearly understands with surgical precision. This kind of roster engineering, largely invisible to the average fan, is exactly what separates competitive franchises from organizations that are simply improvising. Behind the scenes, the word among sources close to the front office is that this signing had already been mapped out weeks ago, well before any official announcement. I spoke with people who closely follow the organization's minor league system, and the information I received is that the front office had been monitoring veteran catchers available on the market since the beginning of August, anticipating exactly the kind of physical wear and tear that could affect the starting duo down the stretch. It's no coincidence that Wynn's name surfaced right now. This move was calculated and planned, not a last-minute reaction to some recent setback. In my view, this is exactly the kind of signing that separates well-run organizations from amateur ones. I believe the Cubs front office is playing the right game here. It's not about glamour, it's about risk management at a critical point in the season. A 35-year-old catcher with a low OPS isn't going to excite anyone, and I completely understand fans who roll their eyes at an announcement like this, but I would much rather have a front office that is paranoid about defensive depth than one that bets everything on avoiding injuries in September. If you ask me whether this is a signing worth praising, I'd say yes, not because of the player himself, but because of the strategic logic behind the move. Over the next few weeks, the expectation is that Wynns will remain in Iowa, serving as an immediate promotion option if Kelly or Amaya suffers any kind of physical setback. The front office is expected to continue monitoring the free agent market and potential last-minute trades, especially as direct rivals in the National League Central also strengthen their rosters for the final stretch. The front office is also expected to evaluate the performance of the organization's backup catchers throughout the minor league system before determining the final roster configuration for a potential playoff run. Now I want to hear your tactical take, Cubs fans. Do you think this signing is enough to protect the Cubs if they suffer an injury at catcher? Or do you believe the front office should be looking for a more offensively capable name on the market right now, even with the end of the regular season approaching? Drop your analysis in the comments. I want to see the debate happening down below before the next round of games. And don't give me a generic comment. I want arguments, I want numbers, I want your take on the lineup. That's the kind of debate that makes this community stronger, the Northside Nation, and helps me bring you sharper analysis every single time.